Southerner. Southerner is a term used in the continent of Westeros, which has different meanings varying by region. For example, the Free Folk use the term to refer to everybody who lives south of the Wall, while the Northmen use it to refer to everybody living south of the Neck. The related adjective is southern. Southron is a northern Westerosi name for the southern Westerosi established below the Neck. It can also be a patronizing or outright derogatory name at times. The Free Folk refer to all Westerosi south of the Wall as Southron. The name is also employed outside of the Westerosi context. By the Isle of Cedars, Victorian Greyjoy thinks of the treacherous storms encountered by the Iron Fleet as Southron storms. Undulls. Southerner is most commonly understood to mean Undulls from south of the Neck, as opposed to being from the north, the region of Westeros north of the Neck which has been ruled by House Stark for thousands of years. While all of Westeros south of the Neck was conquered in the Undul invasion 6,000 years ago, the first men of the north resisted the advance of the Undulls beyond the Neck. Thus the culture and traditions of the first men remain strong in the north. Particularly, the North is the only one of the seven kingdoms where the original religion of the first men, the old gods of the forest, is still the dominant religion of the Northerners. In contrast, the Undulls and their culture dominate southern Westeros, including their religion, the faith of the Seven. The concept of knighthood originated with the Undulls and is deeply intertwined with the faith of the Seven. Thus, soldiers from the Stark-held North rarely become knights, because they follow the old gods, though on rare occasion, even a devout worshipper of the old gods may be knighted by a southern king as a reward for valorous service. When the Undulls invaded southern Westeros, they imposed not only their religion but their language on the peoples they conquered. The common tongue of the Undulls became virtually the only language spoken on the entire continent. Even the independent first men in the north gradually adopted using the language of their Undul neighbors to the south, and in time stopped speaking the old tongue of the first men. In later centuries only some of the more remote wildlings who live beyond the Wall still speak the old tongue. Thus, Southerners, Southern Lords, and Southern culture all generally refer to the Undul-dominated culture of Westeros south of the Neck, typified by knights pledged to the concept of chivalry, and who have a refined, aristocratic court culture. Eddard Stark himself mocks the pageantry of knights in court life, saying that they strut around like roosters down here when he arrives in King's Landing in cripples, bastards, and broken things. The Rhoynar migrated to Dorne 1,000 years ago and intermingled with the Undul/First Men mix there, forming the unique Dornish culture. However, they are generally also included in the term Southerner, as they converted to the faith of the Seven, and thus have noble courts and knights. Beyond the Wall. The Free Folk, or Wildlings, who live in the lands beyond the Wall, contend that it is something of a misnomer for the official name of the region ruled by House Stark to be called the North. It may be the northernmost of the Seven Kingdoms, but it isn't actually the northernmost land on the continent of Westeros. For the Wildlings, including Osha and Craster, everyone south of the Wall is thus a Southerner, even those from the Stark-held lands of the North. Iron Islands. The Iron Islands, as always, are an exceptional case. While the Undulls did conquer the first men of the Iron Islands, they subsequently went native and adopted the local Ironborn culture. The Ironborn are ethnically composed of the same first men/Undul mix as most of the rest of Westeros. They are culturally, not ethnically distinct. Other than the new population influx and adopting the language of the Undulls, the invasion did not significantly affect them. In the present day, the Ironborn generally think of their distinct culture as stretching back without interruption to the Dawn Age, long before the Undulls arrived. In particular, the faith of the Seven found little purchase in the Iron Islands, which continue to worship their own local deity, the drowned god, as they have since the Dawn Age. Millennia before the Undulls arrived in Westeros, the unique location of the Ironborn, being separated from the mainland on rocky islands with poor soil and few natural resources, made them develop a radically culture different from the other first men, based on piracy and raiding. Due to their unique culture, the Iron Islands are sometimes not included in the general term Southerner. Like the first men of the North, their religion is different from the faith of the Seven, so they do not have knights or refined noble courts, even though many of their bloodlines mixed in part with invading Undulls. Moreover, geographically, the Iron Islands are separate from the mainland off the west coast, roughly due west of the Neck, or at least, its southern end, and thus physically separate from both the North and the southern Undul kingdoms. Theon Greyjoy directly states in Cripples, Bastards, and Broken Things that he does not consider himself a Southerner, albeit this may be because he is currently living in the North at Winterfell. Even so, the Ironborn tend to use the term Southerner when referring to the Undul kingdoms of the mainland, as if they are a separate group from the Ironborn themselves. In contrast, people from the Stark-held North sometimes include the Iron Islands under the umbrella term Southerner when they broadly mean not from the North. In the books. In the A Song of Ice and Fire novels, the term that Northerners call the other Westerosi from south of the Neck is actually Southron, and the Free Folk call everyone south of the Wall Southron and Mealer. The TV series just uses the more familiar Southerner.
If you like this content, don't forget to like and subscribe. See you later, bye bye.